Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Unleashed with Kimberly, a conversation for insight and intelligence. I'm your host, Kimberly Anderson, and I'm excited to bring on today one of the ladies because we are continuing the conversation from my Unleash Your Inner Goddess virtual series. And I have on with me today, Patty Sadler. We decided to create a book from the virtual summit, and she's also the publisher. So I'm super excited to talk to her today. Hi,
Patty. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So you're a publisher. Let's just start talking about what you do exactly, and then maybe how you decided to become a publisher.
Okay, so yes, I'm a publisher. I'm an indie house publisher, and I do all kinds of work, anywhere from fiction, nonfiction, poetry, children's books, just about all that you can imagine. And it's been a real blessing in my life. I have I'm an English major, so that's really my cup of tea. But not only that, a lot of things came into place for me to become a publisher. So let me just give you a little bit of background. There was a point when my mother needed my help to take care of my dad. He was 89 when he passed away. And I had to make a decision because they needed so much care that I needed to work from home, and I needed to be an entrepreneur. I needed to have more freedom, and so that I could totally take care of my parents. And I had to make a choice, and I had already published a few books for a few people, and this has actually been in the making for a very, very long time. But I had to make a choice, and it wasn't really that I wanted to be a publisher, but that's what the good Lord wanted me to do. So he made it possible for me to work from home and care for my parents until both of them have passed away. And so now that's all I do is publishing. And we also, I look for people to have heart stories. My big thing is, we all have a story that's inside of us. And I feel like it's absolutely crucial and important for us to share those stories. And as entrepreneurs and business leaders and, just leaders in our communities, it's also our responsibility to be an example and to share our stories to help other people. So my main purpose for all of this is getting the heart stories out.
I think it's so important too, because not only does everybody have a story, but when you're sharing that story, it allows other people to feel like they're not alone, and that if somebody else was able to get through it, maybe I can learn and get through it also. And that's why they become so important.
Yeah. And I think that organically, because we have the internet and all of the technology that we have, that organically that we should be able to reach that one person. And if we were able to reach that one person, wouldn't it be worth it just to save one life?
Yeah.
It would absolutely be worth it.
Absolutely. And it's so important to be able to, like you said, even just that one person becomes so profound in their life.
Yeah. You don't know who you're going to influence. And just,
And the thing is it's really, big picture. It's not just one person that your story is going to touch. It's going to touch a lot of people.
Generation.
We always aim for, okay, if it only hits one, I will be okay with that. And we are. And it's such an amazing gift to give somebody, is to let them know that they're not alone and to share your story with them. But really, in reality, you are sharing so many people. And even if they just get a little nugget out of your story, or just a tip or a tool that they can put in their toolbox to help them overcome something, if it becomes an issue for them, they have that. And it's really awesome. It's such a gift.
And you think about it, if you can influence one person, then you're actually influencing all their generations.
Absolutely.
So you're actually affecting thousands just by that one ripple.
Yeah, the ripple effect. I think that's so awesome. So started publishing so you could be home with your mom and dad so you could take care of them, which is so sweet. What made you decide to do publishing instead of some other sort of business you could do from home?
Well, it kind of just morphed into that because I started out as a coach and I had my own story and I just wanted to share and wanted to heal people. And I started doing, I started working at my friend and I opened up a place called Transition to New Life, and we were working with women. I have a background with PTSD therapy and domestic violence and working with that. And so we opened a home for women coming from incarceration, and we were working with the adult probation department, and we're able to get funding from the government to have these women come in, and they could stay with us for 3 months to make a transition. Now, grant you, there were quite a few that didn't make it, but there were one or two that really did take advantage of the services. Those one or two were like worth it, totally worth it. But anyway, so I would coach them and I would work with them as a caseworker, and then when I had to leave, I was still doing my coaching, the PTSD therapy. I was working with the military and their families to help them through their PTSD. And I was also having a lot of people come up to me and ask me, about writing and doing books. And I'd already done a couple books and things like that. And so I'd coach them along. And I had so many friends that were authors, and they were a big part of my audience and my friendships and my associations that I took a deeper look and started working with people on helping them to get their books done. And I have access to a whole team of wonderful people that do editing and cover design and illustrations and formatting. And, we take care of the ISBNs, we take care of, your cover design. We get you on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Nook, Kindle, and Apple Book. And we do the launch. I also have, it just kind of developed that all these pieces came together and all these people came together. And before I knew it, we had a wonderful thing going.
I love it. It's wonderful when you're going down that right path and everything starts aligning and people appear in your life, and then you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And especially since you're so connected to sharing that heart story and having it so heartfelt that now you're able to publish those books. I think It's wonderful.
Yeah, let me tell you guys a little something else that I'm doing. Because of this has prompted me to start a whole new television network that we're going to be opening up in the fall. And it's all heart talks. It's all heart related. And we have a talk show that we're going to launch in October, and it's going to be on Roku. It'll be on ABC, CBS. It's going to be everywhere. And the fact is, people need to share their stories, and I'm giving them a platform to share their stories to make them. And the premise is, drop your heart on the floor to save someone's life. So, if anyone out there is interested in a speaking, opportunity, which I'm sure there's many that are, this is just another platform, and it gets their voices out there, and I can give them a lot of recognition. But when we do launch this, it's going to be big. And I think it's really important that we have it.
Yeah, the more platforms I think that become available to people to be able to share their story, that's how you're going to touch so many and create those ripple effects, because the internet is global. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's fun to think about, oh my God, I could be talking to somebody in a different country. And I just think that's something special.
You don't know who you're reaching. You don't know.
Yeah, it turns into something. Being able to touch so many different lives around the world is huge.
Yeah.
So what do you think what are some steps if somebody wants to start publishing? How do you recommend people start that?
Well, let me just say this. As far as publishing, there was something I didn't ever want to be. And it was
publisher?
Yeah. That's why I think never say never, because the good Lord just puts you right there and it aligns it so it's perfect and you just can't deny it.
Yeah.
Publishing, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of coordination, and unless you really have it together and you really have a team behind you, I couldn't do it without my team, period. If you're interested in getting published for yourself and doing self-publishing, there's a lot of different ways you can go. There's indie publishing companies. There are major traditional publishing companies, but many people aren't going with them anymore because we have opportunities. There's different publishers have different ways, but we can help you get your best-selling status. That's part of what we do. But if you want to get published, start writing.
Yeah.
Start writing. Take 10 minutes a day. You'd be surprised what that 10 minutes a day would do rather than doing nothing. It's better to start and have it not be perfect than
Right.
to not do it at all.
That's why there's editors.
Yeah. That's why there's editors. If you get writing and you have one thing you could do is prompt yourself and choose like 7 topics that really matter to you, that are really centered around your message. Maybe some bullet points, and maybe make an article or write something about each one. You can turn those into chapters really easily.
Yeah.
And you can turn that into a book. You just need to have, your acknowledgments, your preface, and all those different parts that you got to have, and have someone help you design the cover. But there's so many ways you can get it done. I would just say the biggest thing to do is start writing. 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think those other companies are starting to not be as popular anymore? People aren't using them.
Well, we just have so many opportunities to reach people. There's distribution methods that now are out in the open that weren't when traditional publishing was such a big deal. Nobody knew all the trade secrets. So now you're getting a lot of indie publishers and smaller publishing houses that actually do almost exactly the same thing. So if you want to go, it's really hard to get accepted with a traditional publisher. It's really hard to get in there, and this is just an easier way if you go with an indie publisher to get your message out there and still get your best-selling status.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful to have these opportunities now where it's not so, out of reach. However, I'm curious, why are those so out of reach? The old-fashioned way of publishing. Why is that so hard to do?
Well, you have to have a budget. You have to have a budget to be able to work with them, and it takes to become a New York best time selling author. I would say upwards $50,000 to become a New York best time selling author, unless you have the connections to get them to do it. And what they do is they give you an upfront amount, like $25,000 or something. It's almost not, people think they're going to get so much money from doing a book. The truth of the matter is they would give you $25,000, and that would be your money you'd work on. And then once you publish the book, they don't give you any money until that $25,000 is satisfied in sales.
Interesting.
And people like, James Patterson and, all these bigger ones, Stephen King, they have a budget. They're so big and they're such a no-brainer that the companies can go in and they can buy the books out. They have resources that we don't. So it's almost better just to, and then you're not obligated until that $25,000 is sold. But books normally sell for, depending on your price. Let's say you put your book at $19.95 or $9.99 is an easy number to work with, and you get 45% of that minus the print costs. So, and that's from the distributor. So you'd get $4.50, and if the book is $2 or $3 to print, then you're really only getting $1 or $2 a book. On an ebook, you're only getting 40% because the distribution takes so much of the money. So you get 40 cents a book. People don't realize that there are other expenses, and they just aren't going to make a real big amount of money unless they have a huge budget to work with, and we can get them out to the other resources.
So it makes sense that coming in as a celebrity or somebody who has a long history of writing books, popular best-selling books, that it would be a no-brainer for them to connect with these major old-fashioned high-end publishers.
Yeah, they already have a shoe in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I love that everybody's able to put their story down on paper or a typewriter or a computer and get their story out and get their message out, because again, it really helps. You never know who you're going to help, and I think that's really profound.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, one thing you can do if you really want to get started is give yourself a prompt. Like just get up and journal. Get up, or before you go to bed, just take a minute, and if something comes to mind, just write about it and just get it out on paper. I call it throwing up on the paper, because sometimes when we have really hard stories that we want to share, the best thing we can do is, and it's very therapeutic to write a book. It's very therapeutic to write. So you don't have to think about what the book's going to look like. You just need to throw it up out on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
You just make sure that, you just get it out of your system. Because once you get it out of your system, you can take all this content, you can rewrite it 4 or 5 times. And if you have guidance and you have somebody that'll help you, I mean, my goodness, if you want to work with me, I would work with you, and I would walk you through the process too. But that's really what needs to happen, is you've just got to get it out on the paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look good. It's healing. It's very healing. And as you do that, you're going to find out what your real mighty message is and what it is you really want people to hear.
Yeah.
What you need them to know to help them heal. You're going to learn so much about yourself, and you're going to learn how to help other people.
Absolutely. I've even heard of it as a brain dump. Like you just get it all out.
There's the word for it. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're typing it or it's good old-fashioned pen to paper. However it works for you is okay. It doesn't matter one versus the other. Eventually it'll need to be typed, obviously. However, whatever feels right for you to get that message out and just start allowing that to flow out, beautiful things happen.
Well, you can type it, you can dictate it, you can do it in a voice recorder. There are just so many methods we can use today that we didn't have before.
Yeah. It's made it a lot easier. The process is a lot easier. Getting it published is a lot easier. All you need to do is just start and get that story out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And start helping others.
Yes. Start helping others give back by sharing your story. And when you do that, you're going to learn different methods, and you're going to realize what tools you used in your tool belt that you could give them to go through the same experience you went through.
Yeah. You also are doing, I want to say it's called Heart Talks.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You've created this other platform as well. Share about that.
Okay, so Heart Talks we're going to be launching in October, and that's going to be going on Roku. It's going to be going on the Fire Stick and iTunes and all these other places that we can get it. That's the real beauty of Roku, is so many people are turning to that now instead of regular television. I love it. But we also have the ability to reach millions more people. But Heart Talks is going to be a place where literally you just drop your heart on the floor to save a life. And I know there's a lot of people listening that are out there that have inspiring stories that they need to share and that they want to share, and they need a place to do it. And, just go to info@newlifeclarity.com, send me a message and reach out to me directly. I will respond. And I'd love to see you have a chance to get on a stage where you can have more of a global presence than you actually have anywhere else.
So is this the TV show, or is this and maybe I'm mixing them up, is this the platform that I've talked to you in the past about that is kind of like just a video thing where it's
Well,
explain?
there's going to be two parts to it. It'll be a
Okay.
stage. It'll be a traveling stage, very similar to TED Talks.
Okay.
Then the
Oh,
other
okay.
part is there will be a television show that will be highlighting it to basically that's our way of unleashing it. Unleashed with Kimberly. That will be our way of, just getting it out there and getting people aware of Heart Talks. We'll do a series of about 20 episodes.
I
And
love it.
it'll be documentary and interview style and little tidbits about their information. They'll also have personal video stuff in there. It'll be interesting. But then it will be a stage. It will be a virtual stage that we can take anywhere.
I love it. I think that's wonderful. I didn't realize it had that component where you're actually on stage and able to talk.
Yeah.
Kind of like a TED Talk. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I'm trying to think of what else I could share with you that would maybe give you some golden nuggets when it comes to writing your book. First of all, number one, realizing your story is important. Number two, write every day. Take time out and just write anything, just brain dump, as she said. The third thing is realizing the importance of your story and understanding that it's worthwhile. It may feel really silly, it may feel uncomfortable, but your story is just as relevant as anyone else's. Every one of us has a certain amount of experience in our life that is meant to teach us, to help us, to make us stronger, to become the jewels that we become. And some of us have more work that has to be done than others for us to get to that point where we can really make a difference. So your story is just as important as anybody else's. You matter just as much as anybody else does. And there's not one person out there that isn't significant. So think about sharing your story. And if you can't share your story, think about writing it just so that you can get the therapeutic results of doing that. Getting published is a pretty big deal. It's like birthing a child. And when you get to go through the process and you have that manuscript and you have the team behind you to create it to just come to fruition for you, it's really magical. And so we offer several programs. We have, a full publishing program where you bring the manuscript, we do everything from there. We also have a special program that lasts for 2 years, and it's a whole writing program, and it's very comprehensive, in-depth writing and working together to build that manuscript and make your story and get, help you to flesh that out.
I love what you said, though, about just getting it out. Like, do it for the benefits of the therapeutic part of it if you're not ready to publish it. And then you'll have this content that if you decide to publish it, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
You have huge fans.
Jeremiah,
I love it.
Let me just tell you a little bit about Jeremiah. He's one of our authors, and he has created, I love him. He's creating this beautiful, beautiful story, and he's turned his book into. Why don't you share your link to your or your cover, Jeremiah? But we did his book on the premise that he just wanted to get this story out there, and what happened is he decided to turn it into a series of comics so that it could have influence all over the world, and it has a very Christian story behind it. And he's just a really amazing author, and he's doing some great things, and he's always growing into something else. And I see his comics that he's building for this book and this series, and it's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. And what's amazing, what's even better, huh?
I'm sorry. I should have told you guys. It's Diaries of a Night.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. But you've created this platform to allow others to be able to get their message out. And
yes,
obviously he is just, yay, and he's in love with the process. He absolutely loves you. And that's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
He's got all kinds of things up here.
You're a superstar, Jeremiah.
So that's really, really awesome.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. I love it. It's when you create, that's the other thing is, like you said, you didn't even plan on being a publisher. You didn't even want to be a publisher, but
Like, oh,
which I think is hysterical.
My friend that was a publisher, and I was like, oh, I don't know why she'd want to do that. I'm not doing that.
But how many times have you come across where you're like, oh, this is amazing. Look at what you've created in order to help somebody create something so amazing for, like, for instance, him.
Every single book is like a treasure.
Yeah.
Just to see the book come out, and they get so excited, and every author, their book is their baby. And there's just no disregarding that. They've created something, and to be able to see it come into fruition is an absolutely beautiful process.
It is. Let me just add this real quick, and then we'll.
Diaries of a Holy Night. Sorry. Yeah. Diaries of a Holy Night. Now, if you see, it's how to serve Jesus, deal with therapy, and kill demons in middle school. And it's an incredible story that he wrote. The book itself is, it's such a fun read. It's such a good read. And for him to turn that into anime type thing, he's able to reach audiences globally to give his Christian message. And I think that's what's so important about that book.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for anybody who wants to share their message and get out there.
Right.
You've created this platform, and not only just the publishing platform, but other platforms as well, such the Heart Talks we were talking about. All these different avenues that you've created to allow people to come on and just have massive exposure and get their message out to massive audiences. It's truly, I mean, the effects of it are profound, really.
Right.
The ripple effect.
We also do a lot of collaborations. For instance, the collaboration that we're doing has a message, and there's one that I'm working on right now too. It's called Elevate, and it's a lot of religious leaders throughout the world that have huge global audiences, and they have a Christian message, and they're putting that out, how to be, leaders of leaders, and using, with using the Spirit of Christ, and then I have another one about influence effect. Excuse me, influence effect, that I've got a whole bunch of celebrities, Frank Shankwitch, Shavon, just there's about 41. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've actually got Sharon Lecter in there though, and that's really huge. But there are 41 celebrities in that book. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty neat. And then we just finished All Women Rock with Carl Wilson, and that was 13 women that wanted to share their heart message.
I love it. And what's wonderful too is you can, with what you offer, you can have any level of support that you need. The collaboration I'm doing with you from my virtual summit, I took the Unleash Your Inner Goddess virtual summit, and I wanted to create it into a book, and it allowed these women, we basically took their conversations and we're turning it into a book. And it wasn't a huge amount of well, I don't want to say support, because you're amazingly supportive, but I'm trying to think like how much touch there is involved in it.
Well,
you can have
a different level of need. So,
right. And so you can have somebody to walk, you can hold their hand through the entire process, or for like this type of a thing, I didn't need you to hold my hand, And so I think it's really a wonderful opportunity for people, because you're able to help on many different levels, whether they need to be handheld or not. And I think it's very special what you're able to do.
Both. I have all kinds of people that need different things. More times than not, though, they will bring me their whole manuscript, and it's just, we go right through the process, and but then, with these collaborations, All Women rocks. They do, Jeremiah. You rock, Jeremiah. But I'll tell you that every every book is different. It has a different level of need. Yes. The collaborations are different. Sometimes, it's I'll have to compile the information. With yours, I didn't have to do that.
Patty didn't just hold my hand, she carried me on her back. And that's what I'm talking about. Whatever level of support you need, Jeremiah, you are able to provide. And I think that's really something amazing. Thank you, Jeremiah, for sharing that. Because for me, like I said, I didn't need you to hold my hand. I did a lot of it myself. And I just, then I'm like, okay, here it is for the publishing part of it. And where you're also able to carry people on your back.
He's really
and give that level of support. And that is something that I think is really amazing.
Yeah, he's super kind too.
But just for people to know, though, that they can have any level of support that they need, you will be there to provide that. And it's important for people to understand that publishing isn't so outside of our realm anymore. It's tangible, it's touchable, and whatever level of support they need, you are able to offer.
It is totally true.
Yeah. But I do want to go back to what you said. I love that you pointed out, just get story out. Get your story out, your message out. Write it, journal it, and just get that out and enjoy the therapeutic pieces of that journey and getting it out. And if you decide you want to publish it, it's already out. It's already, you can just send it over, So I think that's a really important thing to point out about just getting your message out or getting your story out on paper or typed up and feeling the effects of how it helps heal you even more. Even there's constantly layers peeling back as you go through your journey of life.
Yes.
And you're healing through all these different things. Journaling it, writing it out is just a piece of that. And it's just another layer you get to pull back, and it really helps heal you. And if you decide to publish it, you're going to help and heal others.
Exactly. And that's all it is. Everybody has a different level of what they're comfortable with. And I'm not here to tell you, you have to tell your story to the world. I'm not really doing that. There's different facets, though, of sharing your story with others without, if you feel like you need to have that space and you don't want necessarily to advertise everything you've been through, you still have nuggets that you can lead others with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why your story is so important. I've met many people that don't think they have a story. Yes, you do.
They do.
Yes, you
we
do.
We all have a story somewhere.
Some are far more life-changing than others. But everybody has a story in them. And all of those stories, if they are meant to be shared, they should. And they will help others.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you guys, it's really not a daunting process anymore if you want to be a published author. If you even need just to do a consultation and you aren't sure what route you want to go, and you won't get a real sales call from me, because I will wait and I will let you to make the decision for yourself. But if you have questions or you just want to reach out to me and get some advice, just email me at info@newlifeclarity.com. Absolutely.
I have those.
That's all you have to do. And I will respond to you, and I will help you any way that I can.
Yeah. And I want to recommend you, because one of the things that I liked about our initial conversations is just how easy they were. It was very matter of fact. There's no pressure whatsoever. And you're just there to answer questions and offer, opinions or a path or whatever it is. You're just there real nonchalant about you're there to help provide support, however that is. And I think it's a wonderful first conversation to have with you. So I think people should definitely reach out if they're not sure. If they're not
and it might
sure,
not be a fit, and I won't work with you. I won't lead you and guide you into something that's not a fit for you. There might be
right?
other methods. If it's not a fit for us, then it won't work. I'm still here to support you.
Yeah,
So, you know, just don't come in thinking that you have to work with me and that that's the only, but you know, I'm willing to listen to your project and kind of give you some guidance.
yeah, that's wonderful. How did you come up with the name New Life Clarity?
Well, I think it was really inspired. It's really interesting how it's kind of just turned into everything I've been doing. It started out New Life Clarity Project, and that's my mother hub. New Life Clarity Project is everything runs under that. New Life Clarity Project is supporting others in need, helping others through domestic violence, helping others through PTSD, and that was working with people with my therapies and stuff like that. But New Life Clarity is the meaning of that is giving you a new life by getting clear. So if you don't want to get published, that's fine. But part of that therapeutic advice I give people is to write it out. Because when you get clear on your story and you get clear on what your experience is, then you can have a whole new life. So that's therefore we have New Life Clarity Publishing, and then we have New Life Clarity Project, and we have other things coming up. You know, other things that are, but they're all going to be NLCP, and so it's just really interesting to see where it's going, because we will be starting our own network in the wintertime that will be on a global platform on all the satellites. It'll be everywhere. And so, you know, I don't know. It's just really exciting to me because I see that it's going all these different directions. But New Life Clarity is getting clear on what your story is so that you can create a new life for yourself and for others.
I think it's powerful. I love the name of it.
Thank you.
And you're right. As you're going through your journey of life, that's a story, probably many stories if you really look at it. And as you heal and go through those experiences, you're constantly in a state of transformation. That's one thing that I always talk about, is you're constantly in a state of transformation, whether we want to believe it or not, or admit it or not. We are. And as you have clarity, you're transforming. You're creating new life with every decision you make. And I love the name of it because it really goes back to that.
It does. You know, I look at some of the books that I've been able to work with people. We had the Diaries of a Holy Night, for one thing. You know, with Jeremiah, his passion is sharing Christ, and he is spiritually driven, and everything he's doing is for Christ. So he's able to reach a bigger audience. And now that he's doing the anime, you know, he actually got the book out there, and then ideas came. You know, he just moved forward, and he's still moving forward all the time, finding different ways to expand on this message. And I think it's incredible. I had one gentleman, his name was Ulrich Floresca, and he did Zero Debris. He had a nonprofit where they clean up the beaches in the Philippines and also in
Wow.
Hawaii and United States. Well, he passed away in February, and it was a very serious, very sad loss. But we were able to get him to a best-selling status before he passed, and he was able to get his voice out. Now, that's another thing that I really want to tell you guys. We don't know how many days we have on this earth. We have no idea. He was perfectly healthy, and he was in his 40s. He was active. He was on the beach every day. He was so healthy. He had an aneurysm and just died one night. But I'm here to tell you that we don't know what our expiration date is. We don't know if we're here today, or if someone we love needs to hear our message and we want them to have it, if they're going to be here tomorrow. When I finished my books, I was so blessed that I had them in my parents' hands before they aged and got old and died. It was a very healing process for our family. But you don't know if you have tomorrow. You're not guaranteed it. And if you don't start writing things down, no one's going to have any record of anything about your story. And then it will go for naught, because we want to know about our history. We want to know about our family members. And when someone passes, there's a huge grieving process, and there's a lot left unsaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what if I didn't write a book ever? What if I didn't share my story with anybody? Would I be supporting? I would not be supporting all of these people to get their stories out.
Right.
And, it's an incredible journey to be able to watch people to get their stories out and share their message, because every message is relevant.
Yeah.
Even with
really,
you,
really
Kimberly,
is.
like, you have all these women that are in in your book, and they all have stories that they actually now have a platform that they can share their stories in, because they're going to be in a best-selling book.
Yeah.
And it's out on paper. It's a chapter of their life.
Yeah. And it's out there, and all the stories are different. Some have similar elements, but we're all walking different journeys and different paths. And even if we both have the same experience of domestic violence, it's still very different story and perception. And it's really interesting to read when somebody talks about their story. It's very interesting to see their perspective and see how they came through the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I learned, even when I started that series a couple years ago, I always called it overcoming, limiting beliefs or obstacles or whatever. And it's not really overcoming it. It's walking through it and getting to that other side of it, because everything you go through is a lesson. And it's about stepping back and looking at it and go, okay, what can I learn from this? So I don't, one, make this mistake again. But two, be able to help somebody else with it if that, because that just gives you more wisdom to be able to shine that light for somebody else. And I love what you said with Jeremiah's book is he started out with the book, right? And now it's evolved into all these other things. Just like you becoming a publisher, just publishing books has evolved into all these other things.
Right.
And other platforms, now creating a TV network, doing all these things. And that's really what it's about. It's really becomes, when you publish a book, it becomes just a launching pad, really. And it can evolve into whatever your imagination can come up with.
Yes. Yeah.
I started my virtual goddess summit just because I wanted women to be able to share their stories of overcoming limiting beliefs and obstacles and experiences we've gone through, some of them which are absolutely heart-wrenching. And then I was like, you know what, let's make this a book so we can have something tangible to read and go back to and write on and whatever we needed to do. And it's also become a goddess retreat, a 3-day retreat. And so it's evolved, so having anything that you start will eventually evolve.
Yes.
Yes.
You have to start. It can be a very small step about just writing something every day, or just, putting things on pen and paper on, on the paper, because then you start creating.
Yeah, and don't worry about it being perfect. Just take imperfect action and make it happen, because nothing's perfect anyway. Nobody is and nothing is. And just to get out of your mind about the perfectionism part of it, it does not need to be perfect. That's, again, if it's a book, why we have editors,
Absolutely. We have a whole team of people that can fix it.
Yeah, and just get it out there. Just start anywhere and with anything. Whatever you're feeling called to do, just take that first step and start getting into that and moving forward one step at a time. Imperfectly.
I have another guy that just basically wrote out his story, just 30 pages, and he sent it over, and we're just rewriting the whole thing for him.
Yeah.
That gets a little bit costlier, and it takes more time. I mean, we're looking at we're looking at about a whole year to get the book done because we have to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. And I don't mind doing, having my team do that. Everybody, it's like you said earlier, everybody's at a different place and a different spot and a different level and have different level of needs. So we just, every book we do is completely different. It has, like, we have to have an open mind and start from scratch, and it's its own entity. It's its own project.
The other thing too is it doesn't have to be a novel. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge, thick, thousands of words book. It can just be a cute little quick read because people like to consume quickly. So it can be a fast read, and those are oftentimes the best books because it's a quick, short, consumable message.
Well, people today do not want to take time to sit and they'll do the audiobook or they'll read a short book. If you've got a short book that you can get right to the message and to your story, those are the ones that they're actually going for, rather than leisure reading like we used to. Because on the big books, we can do audiobooks and listen to stories now, and people don't have the time they used to have. It's a busy world.
Well, yes, I totally agree with that. Or they can make the time. But I really don't think when it comes to a message type of book, not a, James Patterson entertainment book, but when it's a message book, people want to consume that quickly and get the message so they can see if they can implement that into their life.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
And so, you can just jot down, it can even turn into poem form or little messages, and then you put them all together and create this book. Like, it really doesn't need to be a book in the traditional sense, even of a traditional help, what do they call it? Help book. I can't even think of a name.
Well, the basic idea though is that each book represents that person that wrote the book. That is their baby. That is their creation. And everybody's different, but we all have more artistic sides to us than we realize because we all just show it in a different way. So virtual goddess on the box. Thank you, Jeremiah. You're awesome. The thing is I would just say start, because every book I do or every book that somebody does is going to be different than, because it's their own touch.
Yeah.
And I don't put a book out unless it's exactly what they're looking to do. And it always comes out. We never know when we get the manuscript what the final product's going to look like, but when it does and it evolves, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah. It really is. And just being able to share that message out and it becomes a piece of you. It becomes a part of your legacy. And excuse me. And it allows for people to be able to know you.
Yep. It is. And if you think about legacy, you start thinking about, do you want to leave a message behind for those that you love so that they can know what your experience is? And it makes a difference because we love to hear the stories of our relatives and our ancestors. Those are important and they inspire us today. So I would say definitely you'd want to leave a legacy for those that you're leaving behind, for sure. And
I love that. Yeah.
Because then they have a book in their hand that my grandmother, my great grandmother, my auntie, my sister, she left this behind, and it's a part of us that we leave in the world. And when you write a book, it doesn't go away.
No, it's there forever.
Ever and ever.
I love it. Just think if you could see your great grandparents, whatever their written story was, or even on TV.
Yeah.
You could go back and watch that and see their mannerisms or pick up their, reading how they thought, and it becomes a part of your legacy. And I really love that.
I love it too. My mother passed, she was 93 when she passed away. She had a beautiful life. And there's a couple times, that I've taken a few videos with her and the grandkids and things, and you can't replace those moments if you have them on video, or if You know, I've got all of her journals, so I have everything about her. And those are probably my most prized possession.
That is so sweet. I love it. That is really precious. And being able to have that, hold it tangibly.
Tangible, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
so precious. It gives you that feeling of being able to still have a piece of them.
You guys think about this, you know, like I said before, time is short, life is short. Think about leaving something behind. If you can't share it with the world, at least share something with your family
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, those that you love. Give them something to hold of yours.
Yeah.
Because like I said, books don't go away.
No.
Video doesn't go away. It's out there. The internet, it's out there. It's not going away. It's permanent now and it's forever.
I love it. I love being able to leave your story. So let's talk about how people can find you again. So
Okay.
we have your company is New Life Clarity,
Mm-hmm.
which I love. They can reach out to you, send you an email, just even if you to set up a conversation or a quick little help me with
Questions,
some guidance.
anything, just reach out to me. I will answer you directly.
info@newlifeclarity.com. And then you actually have a website, newlifeclarity.com. And what can they find on there?
All the information about publishing and what our processes are. You can meet our team. You can learn about, you know, just basically what our services are and what we're going to do for you. We're actually building on the website. You'll also have Heart Talks will be a part of that eventually, probably about October. So, and that's going to be, like I said, similar to TED Talk. So we'll be offering people opportunities to speak on the stage. Um, because of the way things are with the COVID and everything else, of course, it's a virtual stage, but we want to keep it that way so that everyone has an opportunity to utilize it. So if
Yeah.
you want to write to me about writing a book, um, learning how to write your story, getting published, or speaking on the Heart Talk stage, reach out to me at info@newlifeclarity.com. You can also fill out the form on newlifeclarity.com and we can respond to you that way. But if you go to info@newlifeclarity.com, I will respond like this quick.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's direct to you. So
Yeah.
it's not going through your team or anything. It's direct
Right.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I love what you do. I love that you're able to offer all these platforms for people to be able to get out there and share their message. We are actually doing a virtual launch of my book, Goddesses Among Us, on August 5th, I believe, right? August 5th. So you can catch us on there. And if you go to Aphrodite Enterprises Inc. on Facebook, not only will you be able to see that book launch there, but you can go back and rewatch this episode, pick up the amazing wisdom that Patty gave you, and ask questions. Tag our names in it. We will go back and look through and answer any questions that you have.
Yay.
So thank you for being a part of Unleashed with Kimberly.
Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful. I've loved the comments that you were getting. It's just testimony to what you are able to do for people. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us on Unleashed with Kimberly.